Friedl Gertse runs an organization called Greater Purpose Outreach that's largely based on the Cape Flats in areas like Manenberg. The organization has not only managed to start a soccer club that empowers young men in this violent-ridden area, but they've also recently started a tuck shop called Warriors Tuck Shop that raises funds for one of the many organizations. In our social newscast today, we have a chat to the co-founder of Greater Purpose Outreach. We establish the need in the Western Cape and why we should care about what happens on the Cape Flats. You're listening to our social newscast with me, Sam Marshall. Let's talk about your organization and the work that it does in the community. Where are you based and how was this organization started?
So I'm based in Manenberg currently. I had in Wellington, but I started to streamline things when the media started to approach me for interviews. So I'm focusing mainly now on Manenberg. The idea so in Manenberg, I currently have a soccer club that I started. But to give you some background, I have 2 MPOs that I'm currently registering. So the one is called Greater Purpose Outreach. So that focuses basically on a lot of things, from feeding schemes to, let's say, what I want to also move into is sustainability, which is, vegetable gardens, uplifting the community in that area. And then I also have, which is separate, my soccer club called Young Tornado Warriors. The reason for the soccer club and registering it in that way is I have 3 partners under the umbrella of the soccer club. So because I wanted to start a soccer club, I've then partnered with guys and I've made them directors of the club for a simple reason, to build a legacy. So when they pass away, I pass away, then their children or grandchildren will then rebuild on what we have already started. So it's basically, it's not just a soccer club, it is a community hub. I call it a community hub because within the soccer club itself, there's different verticals. So we focus on, or my part is coming in from education, because I want to bridge sport with education, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And that is basically where I am focusing on now. It is to mold and mentor, the soccer players and grooming them for that stage where they are matric. I can assist them with bursaries. I can assist them with job placement because I have that skills in that area. Because I believe, if you look at impoverished communities, there's a lack. And what is the lack? Finance. So they give up already. So I come in that area where I can assist them, with funded programs, through another organization, funds from myself where I can assist, if it's something small, there's no money for the parent to send them to, let's say, they want to go study further, at the college.
I grew up in Manenberg. So I grew up around the corner from Red River Primary, right? And I stayed in a block of flats called Diner Court.
Yes, I know that. Oh, it's dangerous now there.
Yeah. And that's actually where my question leads to, is that communities like Manenberg, there is so many incredible individuals like yourself. How important is a program, an organization like yourself? Because there is a very thin line between somebody growing up and amounting to something, or somebody growing up and then falling into the wrong groups of individuals and then almost wasting their life. So how important is your organization? Because a lot of people don't really get Manenberg. It's this very weird township, for lack of a better description, that has the most amazing view of Table Mountain. It's almost picturesque in nature if you think about it. But there is a lot of disparity there. There is a lot of poverty. So how important is your organization within that community?
Good question. So I'm going to so I can give you that answer. I come from Kuils River, from the northern suburbs, a completely different mindset, blessed, you know, I can walk wherever I want to, you know, I'm in the winelands, for example, so it's a different thing. So I've got someone in Manenberg, which is a partner, two directors actually, but the one he is well known in the media is called Mahadin Wenzel. He's been in prison for 25 years, so he has been a general in Polsimo. And when I speak about getting the guys out of that vicious cycle of gangsterism, he's a perfect example, you know. He's been there, and that is where we are also now in the process of starting, you know, programs such as crime prevention. You know, he's also a peace builder in Hanover Park, which is also trying to establish in Manenberg. But the way we do things is completely different. I get there's a lot of organizations doing maybe the same thing or something similar. I believe you're going to do something the same. There needs to be a difference or a slight gap in that. So there's many organizations, for example, that have crime prevention programs. You know, it's fine. You know, you get them into a wall, you speak about it. I've got someone that has been a general for 25 years. You know, he has that face-to-face conversation with you, and that's where the soccer club comes in. We don't just act as a soccer club. There's an educational aspect to it where we sit. I was Friday there. We sit and we talk to the guys about, you know, the life of a gangster. If you understand what I'm saying, what is going to happen to you when you're in prison? Because I think many prisoners, they come out of prison, they don't really give the true story or insight as to what it is in prison. And I think that is why crime is so, especially in Manenberg, you know, let's say in the Cape Flats, there's a lot of things. Crime is like normal. It's easy to take a life. Wow. But now the question is why? Because they have not been educated to a point to understand what is really going to happen to them when they actually go first day in prison. And that is, I think, where we come in from. That I have the support of an ex-prisoner.
But, you know, one of the big issues, especially in that belt, I mean, if you think of where kind of Manenberg lies, and then you're surrounded by other townships around it, there seems to be a breakdown in the family unit. How do you deal with a young person? And through your soccer club, through your outreach program, I know that you guys started a Warriors Tuck Shop.
We started it now. Yeah.
So how do you, through these interventions, engage with a young person, but then they go back into an environment where it is a violent, it's impoverished, there's very little. We all know that in order to better your life, you need a little bit of imagination.
Perfect. So that's another thing, perfect question. So Friday, okay, so what happens with our soccer club currently, so we use that as our business model, right? Then we have these conversations with the guys, you know, we ask them questions about, you know, what is the problems that you're facing at home, number one. And they always say, you know what, there is no money. You know, they have like this, like Friday, we had this conversation because we had another interview that the journalist came from Aflo News. And the question was posed, you know, to this guy, he's 15 years old, grade 9. What do you want to become one day? And he said he wants to become a doctor. But in his mind, he already knows the possibility is scarce. You know what I mean? Because there's no financial support. There is no support. And when I spoke to the guys, you know, I spoke to them in a sense of, you know, when you have that goal, you have that idea, you know, there is someone like myself that can come and assist you because I am in the education space, you know. But it takes that effort from him as a youth to actually be more focused, man. And that is what we are trying to do. People that got crazy ideas, you know, I want to start a business. I want to start something small. Even if it's a tuck shop, we can make it happen. But, you know, we must create that belief amongst these guys. And to come to you, to answer your question, you know, we take a simple situation like the tuck shop. The tuck shop was actually my idea a few months ago with my partner, Mahadin. And I said, you know what? You are struggling. You have a criminal record. You are now 57. You are struggling because you're not on a pension, government pension yet. I want to help create wealth for you. by starting a small business. Because that's also what I want to do in Manenberg, is to help people, from an entrepreneurial aspect, start small business. And he came to me last week and he said, you know what, I thought about it. This is what I want to do. Can you assist? And then we started to come up with a few things, and he came up with a perfect idea. There's a lot of tuck shops in Manenberg, especially in that road. Everyone is selling everything. So I said, okay, fine. But now from an entrepreneurial point, to make it work, let's come up with this aspect. What are they not selling? Right? And then we came with that. We saw the gap, and now we are selling the items that people need to go walk far, or let's say to a ShopRite or whatever, or to a Vanguard Mall to go get that stuff. But we are selling it dirt cheap. So, for example, I'll give you one product: baby wipes. Right? A pack of 20, we sell at 5 rand. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the profits that we make, right, it goes back into the club. It is to pay for, the registration of the place. But how we bring the children into that is we tell the guys, this is your club. That is what's called warrior structure. So when you do something for us, you are sowing back into your own goal. We're starting now next month with a community cleaning project. But it is actually the soccer club social responsibility drive. So, for example, we are budgeting now 100 people. So 53, we looked at, I think it's 60 guys from the club and then the parents. So then we go and we clean, the community. But at the end, we reimburse them with a small goodie bag, like a lollipop or a packet of chips. That is what they said. That's all they want. But what we teach them there is valuable skills. We teach them, this is a soccer club initiative. So whenever we clean, we teach you accountability, responsibility, and also just to take pride in your community. And I think that is something that we sorry to break, to interrupt. I think that is what we break. We have a lot of organizations that go and we do cleaning projects. But you see, it's something that you do it for the sake of doing it. But now I come with a situation and I say, let's make it part of our social responsibility. Because now the guys know, man, it's my park. It is my soccer field.
Let me jump in there quickly and just talk about how media reports, rightfully or wrongfully, has created a perception of the Cape Flats. I mean, at this point, it's probably one of the most violent places in the Western Cape. But maybe one of two questions. How safe is the Cape Flats now? And number two, when you see all the media reports, the global media reports about how violent the Western Cape has become and how dangerous the Cape Flats are, does it help or hinder your program?
To answer number one, it is dangerous. It is violent. Because Friday, I was there. The day before, there was a drive-by shooting in the other road. Yesterday, a 15-year-old stabbed a 75-year-old grandmother to death yesterday morning. That, luckily, is not one of our guys. So to answer your question, it is dangerous. And because of the community being so dangerous, I'm experienced. I'm running the marketing side because I'm in marketing. I'm running the sponsorships to get sponsorships for the soccer club like kids. I'm struggling. I'll be honest with you. No one wants to invest in Manenberg. I had Cape Town TV 2 weeks ago. They approached me to come do, a video about, what we're doing, the club and practicing. The day I took off, I went there. The guys didn't want to pitch because one of the guys said, one of the equipment guys said, it is too dangerous to go there. So now you put that disappointment back onto the children. Now that child says, you know what? Nah, man. You know what I mean? No one wants to come and actually see that when you are there, it's not really that bad. It is to change the mindset of the people. I can be honest with you, Sam. I've approached companies like Spur. I've approached companies like Take a Lot. I've Spar, no one, not even ShopRite wants to allocate a small budget. But in a few days later, I see, a guy like Sia Kolisi, gets partnered with those type of people, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Not even the 300 or 400 rand donations. I'm currently financing everything out of my own pocket. And that's why I focus a lot on partnerships. I've now partnered with Mark Fish, the Mark Fish Foundation.
Yeah.
He wants to expand into the Western Cape. And I said, look, come on board. This is what I would love. And he's going to come now on board. He's currently in the Popo. But that is where, we are trying to move, getting these high-profile names on board so that the businesses can start, investing, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Because no one wants to invest. They're looking for that return on investment. And I think, it's quite sad that big corporates are moving into that line where they want a spin-off of it instead of just doing it out of the goodwill,
Final question from me. I mean, you're talking a lot about boys, but how does the organization, is it both boys and girls? And then what's you've started the Warriors Tuck Shop, you've got these cleaning programs. What's the ultimate goal here? So the first question is about boys and girls, about gender and whether both genders are catered for. And then the second question is, what's the ultimate goal here, Friedl?
Okay. First question, it's currently boys. There's one girl that practices for now and then. So we decided, we want to start and empower women. So we want to start eventually a women's soccer club, which will probably be the second female club in Manenberg. And then also, but through that, my idea is with the females is to then break that vicious cycle of teenage pregnancy. If you understand what I'm trying to say there. The guys, we want to focus also now on gender-based violence, because I believe that starts at home. Then I want to use that from a spiritual intervention project there. The second question, I would say my ultimate goal is to reduce gang activity. If I look at it holistically. I'll be honest with you, Sam. It sounds impossible. I believe it's possible because I have the resources now with me. I've got this lady. I don't even know her, Rashida. I think she's like the activist in Manenberg, the leader there. She's currently also in witness protection, but she also stays close to where you were raised. But I want to reduce gang activity. So you know what my goal is? There's a project that I want to do. I want to start maybe next year or in 2 years' time, an annual soccer tournament in Manenberg. If it's 5-a-side or if it's a normal tournament. I have this goal, and I spoke to my partner, Mahadin. I want to get all the gangs, if it's 15 gangs, bring them into a soccer tournament. Why? You tell the community, you tell the country that gangs can fight without weapons. And all the funds that gets raised, it goes back into the community. But then I want to start like a trust, where I say, all the gang leaders, Charles Americans, clever kids, you name it, they are on the committee. So you give that power back to them to say, you guys come and you say where or how the funds must be distributed. If they say, 30,000 must go into bursaries, or 40,000 or 50,000 rand of that funds raised must go back into the ECD centers in the community. Then we do it, because I believe by that you start to break down that gang activity. You can never stop crime, you can never stop gangsterism, but you can reduce the recruitment or the activity, and that is what I want to do, is to be able to get the gangs on your side for the right reasons. And you get the media, you get the police to be there for, let's say, a 2-day tournament. But it must be an annual tournament And that is what I want to do. I want to take sport and I want to use sport for the good. HLs, they play, a round robin with all their rivals, but there's no weapons. I think that is something.
Yeah. I said it was a final question, but this is in actual fact my final question. Why should people care about places like Manenberg, Elsie's River, Bishop Lavers, those crime-ridden areas along that Cape Flats belt? Why should people care about them?
I think we're just human. I still think they're still good people. There is so much, like you mentioned, there's so much opportunity, untapped opportunity that needs to be, tapped into. It's not just about crime. It's about children's opportunities that they can make it or believe that they can make it. Get the guys back into education properly. That's what I think. And I think that's what we're missing. We're not fighting that. My organization stands for fixing the root problems, and that's what I want to do. Changing the mindset of the Cape Flats. There's a lot of good people. You are aware of it. You said you come from Manenberg, but look where you are. That is what I want to do. That is the impact. And then through that, when you are successful, you go back into your community and you rebuild on that legacy. That is how I believe we will fight the vicious cycle of poverty, of crime. Walk that journey with someone now in a soccer club that is 10 years old up until tertiary level. You make it. I told the guys Friday, simple example. You are 10 years old. I want to be here and I want to mentor you on the right path and make it possible for you to go study, even if it's at TVET college. Because I know when you finish TVET, you're going to do exactly what I've done for you, and you'll probably do it much better.